In this video, I'm going to discuss and demonstrate the key differences between a sumo and conventional deadlift and which variation you should use depending on your strength and biomechanics. If you're interested in learning the basics of a barbell deadlift, I recommend watching my previous video. So, a sumo and conventional deadlift will both require a set and engaged back, hips, knees, and ankles, and depending on how you set up for your deadlift will change your muscle recruitment pattern. Now, when we're doing a deadlift, both sumo and conventional, you want to make sure you're engaging your core, your lats, your scapula, and also engaging your hamstrings and erectors properly to execute the movement, because if you don't, you'll either sag in your form or you won't be able to complete it as effectively as possible. When we're doing a conventional deadlift, you're going to be much more in a hip hinge position, which means your torso is actually much more horizontal to the ground. Which contributes to a stronger utilization of your erectors by about 10% according to EMG research. Now, on the flip side, a sumo deadlift will actually engage your inner and outer quads more and your inner calves more. And that was done by EMG research according to Cholewicki. I don't know how you pronounce that. Research has also shown that hip extension for the sumo and conventional deadlift is actually identical. And that's because your femur is your moment arm and your femur doesn't change in length, unless you happen to be a wee little lad or lass that is growing, which most likely isn't the case. So when we're going to talk about the range of motion between a sumo and conventional deadlift, the range of motion in a sumo deadlift is actually 25 to 40% lower than that of a conventional deadlift, which means when you do a conventional deadlift, you produce more mechanical work. However, that doesn't automatically make the movement easier, because a sumo deadlift is actually harder straight off the ground, versus a conventional deadlift is actually going to be harder right beneath your knees. So depending on your body mechanics and your strength, you might be more sufficient and more effective at doing a sumo deadlift versus a conventional deadlift. So I often get asked, which deadlift variation should you use? Well, as with so many things in fitness, that entirely depends. Depends on your hip anatomy, depends on your strengths and biomechanics, and which variation you're going to be strongest at. So I often recommend that you try out both variations between the sumo and conventional deadlift for a few months and determine them at a submaximal range of 70 to 80% of your 1 rep max to figure out which variation you're going to be strongest at. You will naturally gravitate towards one versus the other. And if there are actually key differences, so significant differences in the weight you can move with a sumo conventional deadlift, that often means there's an imbalance in your muscles. So for example, if you're really strong at the sumo deadlift, that means you're a lot stronger at engaging your quads for a deadlift. Versus if you're better at a conventional deadlift, you're a lot more effective at recruiting your spinal erectors. So if you're trying to improve your lower back strength, a conventional deadlift is going to be a lot more indicated. And if you're trying to improve your leg strength, a sumo deadlift will be more indicated for you. So that's all for this comparison video. I wish you the best of luck deadlifting, and I'll see you in the next one.